Hey guys! So welcome to my first episode of Sipping with Shae. I just wanted to give you guys a little rundown of kind of the podcast and why I started it and all that kind of good stuff. Basically, it's just going to be a podcast about the music industry because I'm just so intrigued about everybody's journey because each band, artist, DJ, everybody has a different story on how they got to where they are, why they started, and everyone's passions are just so different, and I'm just so intrigued by that story. So I just wanted to help everyone kind of share it, but then also I want to know your story. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. I want to know why you're doing what you do. But I also, now that I work in the music industry, have seen kind of a different view of it. So it's such a great thing, and I love the music industry, but the reality behind it, like what goes into being on tour, making a new album, all that kind of stuff. I think it's just so important to know like what they go through every day. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this first episode of Sipping with Shae with Dre Tamashi. It's a great episode, and yeah, buckle up. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got started. I know you're in Gold Souls, so kind of you can like talk about your journey on your own, and then like how you kind of got into like Gold Souls and like built your band together and such.
Oh man, this could be like a super long story or a slightly less long story. So I'll try to do the slightly less long
Yeah.
story. Um, because it will probably end up being the long one. Anyways, long story attempted short is that me and my brother have been playing together in bands since we were like, oh my God, I was probably like 13 and he was like 9, like 10. And that was just like starting to make music. And then we would like get to be in bands. Not long after that, they would start playing shows and like actually start having like turnouts and stuff like that. And then that became a band called I Kept Silent. And we played around Florida like all the time because that's all you did is like you would just make CDs, t-shirts, and go play shows. And then that band disbanded, and right towards the end we had a buddy of ours named Danny come fill in for that last show as that band, and we ended up getting really close with him and spending our last bits of time in Florida before we moved to LA with him and just hanging out writing, not anything particular, just like writing. Fast forward, me and Ryan moved to LA, and then Danny moved to New York. And when the pandemic happened, I was like helping him get his like studio set up, and like just kind of like telling him, like trying to guide him a little bit on like this kind of interface, like this like microphone, like all this stuff is what I use. And so he started, and he dove right in and got so good so fast and started sending us like all these instrumentals and everything. And me and Ryan were like, what the hell? These are great. And so I just started like singing on them. And then we'd be like, oh, this is great. Can you send a version with no drums? That way Ryan can write some drums on it. We're like, yeah. And then we just started, that's our entire first EP is like made from Danny being in New York, figuring this shit out on his own and sending stuff over. And that was the real first version. There is a secret hidden Gold Souls 1.0, we call it, that we don't talk about. But we've completely erased that from the face of the internet. I'm sure some of it exists somewhere out there, but we completely rebanded, deleted all that stuff. It was like a alt pop attempt. It was not like what it is now. So that was the beginning of Gold Souls. But in the meantime, when we were trying to figure all that shit out, I was kind of like agitated that I couldn't keep making music. So that's why I started my own thing, which is Dre Tamashi, and very inspired. I was also finding out that like I loved like R&B and trap and stuff like that. So I started going like Post Malone, Black, Tory Lanez, The Weeknd. I was like, okay, I need to explore this. So that's when Dre Tamashi was started in like 2018, and then released some of my first stuff around then. And both those things have just grew since then into what they are now.
I love that. That's perfect. So, okay. So you kind of started talking about how you got into like that goth trap kind of area. So can you
Yeah.
kind of walk? I feel like a lot of people don't know what that is because I was telling people about it the other day and I was like, it's so good. Can you walk me through like if somebody didn't know what goth trap is, like explain to us like what that is and why you're so passionate about like that type of music?
For sure. So
Yeah.
goth trap is simply a term that I made up because I didn't know what the hell to call my music. Like so I started playing around with all these different genres probably around like 2020, 3 was my first time doing something that was like more aggressive rather than just like singing over like hip hop beats. And then it worked really well. Like it worked really well on TikTok. It was my first song to hit 100,000 streams on Spotify and get over like 100,000 or almost 100,000 views on TikTok. And I was like, okay, there's something here. But I was having an identity crisis. I was like, I don't know. Like that wasn't what I thought this brand was going to be. So after like trying to like veer away from it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this momentum to do more R&B stuff. And it wasn't working because that's not what people were like. They're like, nah, you're really good at this thing right here. And I was like, okay, damn it. So when I decided to do the song every day for a year challenge, I obviously had to take all of my anything that I thought I might want to stick to and throw that out the window and do everything. So I just started simply doing all the things that I was interested in, and that was when I was like, okay, like this is becoming its own genre to a degree. Like of course there are people like Corpse Husband, there's Ghostmane, Suicide Boys, like a bunch of artists in that lane, but their music is like, for what's worth, I actually don't listen to that much of that music, if funny enough. But their music is like really dark and it lives in this like sort of like underground sound world. And I was like, that's not necessarily what I'm doing. It's close. It's close, but like I have never heard another artist do a mixture of like this like deep growling vocals and also like auto-tune singing and also like yelling like from metalcore, but also like beautiful weekend falsetto. Like I don't know what to call this. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So I was just like, it is like there's a billion other words I could have used, but I was just like, goth includes like the aesthetic, also a little bit of like metal, emo, all that fun stuff, and trap includes like R&B, hip hop, like all that stuff, but it's a little bit more melodic. So I was like, I guess that's what we're gonna run with for right now.
Yes, I actually love that. I know because I stumbled upon you completely by accident. I was like on TikTok Live just scrolling and I was like watching you put together your stuff and like I think the first one I watched was like you and the three others were like doing little clips of like, okay, let's do this scream and like putting it together. And I was like, this is so cool. I had to like go listen to everything. So I just wanted
Right,
to make
right,
sure
right.
people kind of heard about it because I was like, goth trap, what is that? That's cool. I like that. It was
Yeah,
really cool.
TikTok Live, TikTok in general has just been like a godsend for, I mean, me and a bunch of other artists, where it's just like allows us to just do our thing, and people who are just living their life scrolling can just stumble upon something that they might think is like really freaking awesome and never ever heard about otherwise.
Yeah, I was kind of gonna get into that anyways, and we can like touch
Yeah.
on it now. But when you started getting out there and putting yourself out there with this different kind of sound, obviously you've utilized TikTok to like a whole new level. How did you get past maybe like the judgment of like, wow, this is something different, like, and start posting it without thinking about like what other people might say and like the stigma behind the different kind of voice that you were creating for yourself?
Right. I don't know. Like I think here's one benefit of like now I'm 31 now, and I feel like had I been younger, and when I was younger, I was like too scared to put myself out there in that sense. I was still putting myself out there. I've been putting myself out there forever because I've been in bands forever, and whether it's doing music videos or shows, it's just always been in different forms. But doing it in video was like myself was like weird because you think it's like cringy to a degree or whatever. But honestly, I think there's two different parts to that. A is like figuring out how to do that to where you're doing it in a way that you don't feel as cringy and you can actually feel like you're being just authentic. And then the second thing is like, do you want it bad enough? Like, do
Mhm.
you want to be like, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? If the answer is yes, then you will do anything, right? Like that. If the answer is yes, I will do anything, then go make a TikTok, dude. It's not that hard to just throw up. Like first, you just throw up a phone, and you just make something and post it. And you go and you just send it, right? And you just go hope for the best, and that probably won't do that well. And then sometimes it will, and then you do it enough where you get numb to that scared voice that's inside of your head that's like, oh, what if this is gonna be bad, what if people are gonna judge me? You just post through that scaredness, and then eventually you start going, okay, now I'm not hearing all this extra noise of being scared. I want my videos to do better. Now I'm actually going to start thinking logically and like look at other videos that are doing good, and I'm like, What are they doing? What are they doing that's making like them reach more people? And then you start elevating your content. And it's like, but the very first thing is just being like, is this the job that you signed up for? And if you can't deal with it, then go make music for yourself for the rest of your life and work a day job. Or because like even if you get on a, people are like, no, that's why I'm gonna get on a label, bro. All my friends that are on labels, their labels are just telling them to do what I do.
Right. Right. I think
Okay.
that TikTok is it's definitely something that people like need to utilize more. I mean, I work in social media, so I see it all the time where like people are scared to start that TikTok setting, but once
Yeah.
you start in it, it's like crazy the kind of like traction you can get and the people like the different audience you can kind of reach.
Yeah. Yeah. 1000%. I mean, dude, to that point, book talk was not
Yes.
our goal. That wasn't our target. It just happened. It happened on on both of my projects totally individually. Like it happened I don't remember which one was first, honestly. They were kind of around the same time, but like we released Eyes on Fire, Gold Souls released Eyes on Fire, a cover that we did not know was a cover. Well, we knew it was a cover, but we didn't know that the original song was in Twilight.
Oh,
That unlocked the floodgates of book talk to our song, and we were like, "What is this?" And everyone's commenting, "Book talk this, book talk that," and we were like, "What is that?" And
yes.
then the same thing for that first sort of, I guess, goth trap song I did for Dre was the same thing. I was a little bit on the spicier end, right? Like more sensual.
Yeah.
And that hit the exact fucking book talk nail on the head as well. And I was just like, you, these people find you just because you hit post. Like you get out of your own way, hit post, and let your people find you.
Yes, yes, that's true. And that book talk community is so strong. Like,
Dude.
I feel like once you tap into that, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been absolutely nothing but amazing. They're a brand new family to me and they welcome me with open arms. My entire Discord is book recommendations now. They
I love
are
that.
fantastic. Yes.
I love that. Okay, so getting into like really into the music industry and like kind of your views on that side, what do you think some of the most like rewarding aspects of putting yourself out there, creating music, having your band, and the different kind of like the unique connection that you get to have with your specific audience? Because I feel like you're hitting a different untapped kind of audience. So what kind of like what is the rewarding aspect that you get from having that different kind of connection with your fans?
If you're asking what the feeling is and like what the rewarding feeling is, or maybe that is the answer, like
Yeah.
the reward is the feeling of having and building a community of people who actually like give a shit about you and they give a shit about like what you're doing, and they like, it makes me feel like all sorts of emotions right now, but like they care. And for so long, especially being just a small artist out of your bedroom, you don't fucking know if anyone besides you cares.
Right.
There's no proof. You believe it. I'm an uber confident guy. I know I'm meant for this. But still, there's that thing way in the back over here. It's like really quiet, but it's still fucking there. And it's like maybe people don't care.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, so it's just like, and it's just like, nah, I'm the fucking best. Like, there's no, like, they will care once they find it. And that is the ultimate truth. And I'm happy that that voice in my head was louder. I know for some people it switches, and for other people it's a battle. For me, my front leading voice was always, I'm meant for this. Once people find me, it's game over. And so it's just the validation of people being like, oh, this shit's amazing. And you're like, oh, fuck. Yes, thank God. Like, you know, it's not just me.
Yes.
And it's starting to happen. And beyond that, like I've made like incredible friendships with people from doing this. So it's like whether it's other artists to work with, I've worked with amazing artists now because of this stuff, or if it's just having amazing people like that I've got grown and got to know in Discord, like those are all sort of like unintentional amazing rewards from just hitting post and just hitting the go live button.
I feel like that can reach so many different people because I feel like that's what stops just general people from doing anything is worrying about if other people, that little voice in the back of your head. So
Yeah.
that's super great.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do it. Like you just have, and it will change. It will in 5 years or 10 years, it will be something else. But no matter what that thing is, it is your job to just do it. Nike, it is just your job to just do whatever the thing is. Back in the day, it was touring like a freaking madman and never seeing your family and grinding it out that way and suffering your physical health and your mental health. But you get to do what you love every night. Now, people want to complain about being able to be home and be with their family and be in the air conditioning and wake up and go to the gym and still make money from doing this. It just looks like posting online, and they want to complain about that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I feel like it's such a great thing. Like you get to do what you love every day and still be home. Like that's
Yeah,
amazing.
home, healthy, happy.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And you can go out and do the tour and play shows thing
Right.
when you want. It's
That's
not a direct necessity anymore.
right. Okay, next. Okay, so I'm kind of going to turn this one, but
Sure.
your TikTok community that you have. We kind of have already talked about how it's like super, super close. How do you think as a band you're able to kind of like reach them in a different way that maybe other like metal artists aren't reaching their fans based on how you guys are like putting yourselves out there and marketing yourself? Do you feel like you kind of are able to get more of a stronger community together or like, you know what I'm saying there?
No, yeah. I do. I'm just trying to think about what it is that we're doing different because there's things that we're not doing as good. And so I think that's
Mhm.
important to point out. Like a lot of bands are doing fantastic on the content side where their shit looks clean, high quality. Like they're hiring some dude that fucking costs bread and it looks so good and it's getting views. Well, sometimes it's not and sometimes it is. And like, and it just elevates your online persona. But I don't necessarily think that, I mean, that is one thing and that's good. But one thing that I see a lot of my friends in bands are not doing is creating something, a place where they can gather with their fans and get to know them and allow their fans to get to know them. And that is simply two things. And that's going live more often and creating a Discord. I was just talking with a buddy of mine who's in a band that's like on the come up and doing really well. And I just found out he doesn't have a Discord. And I was like, dude, you need one. You need one. Like your fans want to get to know you. You should be getting to know
Yeah.
your fans. Like, yeah, you'll have some weirdos, kick them out. It's okay. Like, just keep it pushing and keep growing that online community because, like, I might not have like our band might not have as many fans in numbers, but I can tell you for sure that the fans we do have are extremely connected to us.
Right.
And like we are building somewhat of like what we would refer to more so as like a cult following as opposed to just trying to just spray and pray and just hope, get as many
Right.
numbers as possible and hope that some, I don't think that that is lasting. There is merit to it. I don't want to put that down, but sometimes that works. But combined, if you do both together, combined, that's amazing. There's a difference between hitting post and hitting go live. Hitting
Yes.
post is getting numbers. Hitting go live is growing with your
Yes.
community.
I like that. That's one thing I actually just kind of like started learning about was the Discord side of things. And I was kind of like chatting with some other people who are in the same industry as me and being like, what do you guys know about the Discord? Like, are we growing? And a lot of people just don't know about it. And the more I look into it, the more I feel like it's like helping bands create a family almost, or like you said, like
Yeah.
a cult following. It makes them feel like they're a part of something.
And they are like some
Mhm.
of like a couple of my fans that have really built up trust with me and with us are helping us with like especially for the Dre Tamashi 365 songs in 365 days. I've got two of the fans that I've grown a lot of trust with are helping me accomplish that goal because they're like, we just want you to focus more on making the music. Let us handle and take some of that back end stuff off of your shoulders. And at first I was like, hell no, no, I'm
Right,
not gonna,
right.
I don't know these people. But over time, they're like, hey, let me help you. And let me help you. Like, hey, I know you're talking about how stressed you are. Like, hey, I can do, like, it's really simple. Like, you know what I mean? And just building
Yeah.
up that, like, I really want to do this. And also in a place like Discord and on TikTok Live, you get to watch the way that they interact with people in a very like natural and human way. And so you get to know what their personalities are like and it helps you build trust with people. And so like that would never happen if it wasn't for those kind of like a place like Discord where you actually get to spend time with people.
That's
And,
why
it,
I
and
really do
Discord's
like
amazing.
your right. That's why I like your lives too. Like the comment section is just like people like are vibing and they're
Yeah.
building like friendships with each other in there. I noticed that when I was in there and I was like, this is so cool. It was like literally just like a group of friends, like a community. Like they all like were just like it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, those are shout out baddies. Batties. Those are the baddies. They
Okay,
named
so
themselves, and that is the
I love
greatest
that.
name we could have never thought of.
I like that. I like that. That's a good name.
They're
I love that. Okay, see where I'm. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about memories. You've been in the industry for a while. There's got to be like some top tier moments when you were like, I made it. Like, this is good. This is a memory that's gonna stick with me forever. Can you like share one of those with me? Like, or maybe you have another one. I don't know. Something memorable that was like big for you and like you'll never forget it.
I have a couple memories that are like the first thing that hops out in my mind is not necessarily about what I'm doing right now, but more so is like in the past and is like solidified that like this is what I want to do. So like two memories off the top of my head for our last band, I Kept Silent. We played Rockville, and that was in Florida is like one of the
Mhm.
biggest festivals. It is not even just in Florida, it's just is now as one of the biggest festivals in heavy rock and metal ever. And the fact that we got to play that and like feel what that was like and be backstage and like be with the guys and be with like the catering and like just being able to like experience that was like a standout moment that was like, yeah, I'm doing this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another one was when we opened for a band back in the day called For Today. And and it was this local venue in Tampa called the Orpheum. I think they're still there. And it was a packed out show, and we got to open for them. And I remember that was the first time I ever like I strapped a GoPro to my chest and I walked out onto the crowd and had them like hold me during this like really epic end of a song. And it was just like one of those moments where you're like, I feel the most alive I've ever felt in my entire
Yeah.
life. And it's just again, both those moments were just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Those two memories come to mind in terms of like actually doing the music. In terms of like perceiving, me and my brother saw The Weekend on his Kissland tour in 2000 like 13, 14, something like that. It was probably 2014. And that show was we're hardcore kids. We grew up going to metal shows, hardcore shows. That's the lens that we saw music through. Watching The Weekend amidst his rise, like not even halfway through his like just really just starting to like get all his energy and go, and the kind of show that he put on completely blew the caps off of what we thought was possible for a live show. And we were like, that was, I think, when we first had the moment like, we don't have to do just metal.
Mhm.
We don't have to be here in Tampa. We can go somewhere bigger. Like we can think on a bigger scale. And that was when all that started. Now, were we right or were we wrong is a different question. Like, I don't think we needed to be in LA at all. It probably held me back quite a bit if I'm thinking back on it. But whatever, we're here now. But at the time, we are just like, we can do, like, this is not like the way that we've thought about the music industry up until now is not all there is.
Mhm.
So those are like core memories to me that solidified that I'm not doing anything else besides, well, okay, I take that back, I'm doing other things, but like this is what I really want to do. Yeah, it was like I got into acting when I moved out here and this is fun and all that stuff, but like music is what breathes life into me.
Right, and I love that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of gonna start getting into like a little bit of like challenges and like stuff like that, for music. But obviously you started like smaller, and we've talked about you growing and like becoming who you are today. What are some instances of like overcoming obstacles while you were growing that maybe made you and your band like a lot closer? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, no, immediately I just think about this song that we wrote that ended up being our biggest original song, but it was a song that the writing process of which broke us up. if you want to talk about obstacles,
That's
that
tough.
is one of them. Yeah, when we were writing Bitter End, where I remember me and my brother drove up to Crestline, which is where Danny stays, and we're in his studio, and just like I think it was a combination of a bunch of stuff too. I mean, he wasn't really enjoying his like he had moved out to LA after we were like, hey, let's do this band thing for real, and so it was just a combination of that like not going probably the way that he thought or any of us thought necessarily because life be lifing
Mhm.
and just frustration from that and like where I think me and Ryan were super on this like TikTok grind and we were like this is how we get there and Danny was like I really want to make sure that we have some elevated image online as well and like we couldn't like that's just scratching the surface, there's more there, but there's a lot of things that we're just like trying to find like how do we like fit this together, and it was like, and so we're writing that song, I remember like got to the point of just like fuck this, fuck what we're doing, fuck all. And like when we left that, after we left, then it was just kind of like, hey, I think we should take some time apart, and 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 we did just to sort of realize. And me and Ryan just continued writing some songs on our own, which is luckily we can do. But there is a magic when all three of us are together that makes some of the songs what they are. And obviously, Bitter End ended up doing fantastic online. So it's like, okay, as annoying as that was, there's a magic thing here that
Yes.
we can harness. So it's we've gotten so much better and able to communicate more and able to work together through those moments, and also prove that like the TikTok thing isn't a waste as well. Like I think that was another thing is like, oh, it's just going to make you look stupid online, and we're not like for lack of a better term, like I know it's not what you meant, Danny, but for lack of a better term, like we're not famous yet, so it's not worth it, and all and so it's like, well, yeah, it's not that instant. So it's just like proving that like this shit can work. And there is a way that you can do it that's not super cringy and feels like you're selling out or selling yourself or anything like that. So it's just a blending of both the worlds. And being able to like communicate and do that together was probably the big obstacle for sure.
That yeah, that was a crazy obstacle. Okay. So,
Love you, Danny.
okay. So I think the music industry can be super romanticized, right? Like everybody wants to be a rock star, everybody wants to be living the dream. But I think there's a lot of things that maybe people don't understand that can like they're like huge factors, right? So, and like it just like it will clash with reality sometimes. So, what are some of the like less glamorous, more like business oriented aspects of the music industry that you're facing that can be like a challenge that people don't know about?
I don't see my friends.
Yep. Yep.
I don't do anything other than right here 10 to 14 hours a day every day, and I only leave this room to go work either a day job, go to the gym, or go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. No,
do
yeah.
there is no like I think people and this goes all the way up to the top.
Mhm.
Like when you look at high performers at the top, it's not like cool, I made it, I can take it easy now. There is an element of that. Not speaking from experience, but speaking from watching some people get there and be like, hey, maybe I can take a vacation. That's
Right.
not crazy. But like even up to the top, it is non-stop, absolute grinding your face off because this industry is a competitive industry. And if you are not working harder than that person over there or that person over there, then they will, I don't want to say beat you because it's not necessarily, also at the same time it's not a competition. That's what's so interesting about this industry. It's so nuanced. Like it is a competition for attention,
Mhm.
but it's not a competition in the sense that anyone wins or loses. You either lose if you quit and you win if you keep going and making adjustments that allow you to make yourself a little bit more successful, whatever that means to you. But it is like so like even though I'm the one that's like releasing a song every day for a whole year, there are plenty of motherfuckers out there that are writing 3, 4, 5 songs a day. They're just not putting them out
Right.
because that's not how they want to go about it. And I'm not going to do a song a day after this. I mean, this is an insane thing that I've dug myself into, but it's a challenge for myself. But even after this stops, like some of the highest performers are constantly writing and showing up at the studio. Whether the studio to you is your kitchen table and a little microphone, or it's an actual studio or anywhere in between, show up whether you want to or not and just hit record. And it's not glamour. Like, that's not glamorous. That's not glamorous at all.
No.
You know what I mean? Like trying to think of content and make like content can be exciting for others and it can be really annoying for another totally different group of people. And it's like, but it's all a part of the same job. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't think that it's like, oh, you just get to make music and then go hang out and like just live your life and be a musician outside. It's like, no, actually you're probably not going to go outside that
Mhm.
often if you're really working hard enough, in my opinion.
Right. No, true. And I think that that's something that a lot of people just don't realize is how much little of your own life you get to have if you are grinding that hard to make it.
Yeah, and I mean, you could make arguments that like that's potentially not necessary, like etc. Like, look, if I wasn't working a day job, have Dre Tamashi, have the band, and then oh, Dre Tamashi is releasing a song every day for a year, and then I still have to do TikTok content, and then I have the band, and we're writing an album, and oh, we still have to make TikTok content, and then fuck, I got to go to the gym because if I don't go to the gym, I feel like a piece of shit, and then oh right, like I need to take care of myself, like do my hair, shower, like just general things, go to the store, make I don't just eat garbage. I don't go to Taco Bell. Like I make all my own food for the most part and eat really well because I care about myself. And all of this plays into good mental health. Like all of this stuff is, I forget what my point to all that is, but it is, if I can do that, oh, that's what I was going to say. If I can do all this stuff and you just have one project you need to work on, one band, one artistry, whatever, release a song every 2 weeks, which is not that crazy,
Yeah.
and then make content for it a few times out of the week, you can actually enjoy yourself. But like, so it doesn't have to be, I'm a very extreme person, but
Me too. It's okay.
yeah, yeah. But I also do think that, like, again, even if you're releasing a song every 2 weeks, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be sitting down in the studio every day trying to figure out, like, not trying to figure out anything, just showing up for yourself and creating, because some days you're going to make an ass of a song, and the next day might be the day you didn't even want to sit down at all, but you make the song that changes your life
Mhm.
and you just never know. So I think there is a level of like, you don't need to be doing it as crazy as I am, but I also, part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is to show people that like, if I can do all of this, you can do one project releasing every now and then and just getting some content out and probably still have a better balanced life than I do.
I'm like the worst at that too, where if I decide I wanted to do something, I'm putting every ounce of my body into that. So I'm doing all my side gigs on top of what I think I'm most passionate about.
Yeah,
So I'm like
yeah.
sleeping 3 hours a night and like, because I'm the same way. If I don't go to the gym, I'm gonna feel terrible about myself. So
But the
yeah,
sleep
no.
is important too. I'm a princess with sleep too. I don't know how you do 3 hours. I have
But
to get
once
like,
I sleep though, then I'm like asleep. Like
right.
I don't want to be awake. Like today at the airport, I slept like I didn't even like wake up for takeoff, nothing. I slept the whole 2 hour flight. I slept during the little break. I slept my next connecting flight, and then I got home and still slept 3 more hours. So I was
That
like,
is a superpower. I cannot sleep to save my life on a
really?
plane. I don't know
Really?
how you do that. Maybe I'm just not sleep deprived enough, which apparently you
Yeah,
are.
I mean, that might be it. That might be it. I can
Yeah,
sleep
that's
anywhere. Like I've slept backstage at a concert before, like a metal concert's going on. I'm sleeping backstage, music's blaring. I literally have no cares in the world. I don't
what are you
know. I don't know
doing
how I
at
do it.
these what are you being backstage at shows for?
I work with a lot of different smaller bands just because I haven't necessarily gotten into working with bigger bands yet, which I'm like working my butt off to get there. I do a little bit of social media, but I'm also doing, and then a couple other ones, I'm just doing like stage management stuff. So
Yeah,
just
fire.
trying to get into the industry as much
I
as
mean,
I
you're
can because it's
you're
hard.
in it. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I think an invaluable thing to learn that will supply you with work forever and ever is learning how to capitalize on garnering attention, which right now is TikTok and it is short form content or Reels or YouTube Shorts. They're all important. Snapchat even. I don't do
Yeah,
Snapchat, but like LinkedIn apparently is like their
me too.
algorithm is going crazy, and it's like not necessarily not an option for us to be posting on those sites either. Like
Mhm.
Gary Vee talks a lot about that stuff, just like being like people are on LinkedIn like they are any other social media, and it's usually at work. So you let your music be a break from their work.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, what the I never even, God, thought about
I
it like
know.
that.
I just recently started using that to like capitalize on like what I've been working on.
Yeah.
And I was like, I always thought of it as like really the business side of people. Like LinkedIn was for your business, your corporate people.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, like why aren't we using this for like your music world? Like it's just you should be using it forever.
It is a work themed social media, and it's not even, I don't even think social media is the right word to use that anymore. I think it is a work themed interest media platform.
Yes.
And I mean, all of social media is interest media now. Instagram and Facebook are probably the most social media y,
Mhm.
but like these platforms just want to show you what you want to be shown. So it's not socializing anymore. It's what are you interested in? And if you can just figure out how to, okay, cool, wrap your head around, it's not, it is, I'm trying to just give people entertainment that they're interested in. That's the key to unlock everything. Like learning that that is a fact, and then learning how to do it at a good level are two very different things. But like
Yes.
that journey is a very important journey. You're already on, and we're on as well. And it's like that is an invaluable lesson in marketing that will do whatever you do in life well.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to like learn and see everybody's different sides of it too, like their perspectives on the media. I don't know. I just think
Yeah.
social media is crazy. Like it's such an untapped market. I love it. Every
It's,
inch of it.
you think it's untapped?
Well, I mean, like there are so many different parts of it that are untapped. Like you could hit so much. Like we haven't even, I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of social media yet. Like there's so much more that we can be doing. I don't know. I just feel
No,
like
I've
there's
never heard that perspective before, but it makes me
we're already
really
doing a
happy
lot
and
with social
excited.
media, but I think like in the next couple of years, it's gonna be huge. I think it's gonna be game changing,
Yeah. Yeah. I
especially
don't even,
for people like you who are like out here marketing your bands and stuff. I just think it's gonna be game changer when people start seeing different ways that they can use it, if that makes sense to you.
what are some ways or some different ways that you think people will migrate into using it?
I
If that
think
makes sense.
AI is gonna. So I was kind of talking about this with a band I met on tour at a couple festivals ago, and AI is huge right now, right? Like
Yeah.
people either hate it or they love it.
It's
I think
huge,
that's
but
gonna
it's
be
small.
huge in music.
Uh,
Like I think using that in social media is gonna be game changing because not only are you can we could take this video that we're making right now, send it into AI, and AI can change it to make it different clipped for us, like producing. Like I think it's gonna make things like a lot easier for us to edit. I also think using AI as a terms of marketing with our social media, like it's just I don't know. I think that it's gonna end up making different platforms and the way that we see social media different.
yeah, I think all that stuff is happening already.
I think it is
You
too.
can there's a app that will use AI to find the best potential clips for you, and it will clip it up for you. I think it's Opus or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
There's now Opus has actually been out for a while, so now there's like plugins you can download and use on your like in your editing software. You can use AI for marketing if you want to run ads, which I've never dove into because I don't run ads, but like it's everywhere now. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see where it goes and what we end up doing with it. I'm excited. I'm an
Yes.
optimist with AI. Of course,
I
I'm
am too.
realistic in the sense that like I understand it could take over the world and deem that humans are bad for it and just wipe us off the face of it pretty easily, probably. But I am a bit more of an optimist in the sense
I
that I
am too.
think it's going to be able to be used for amazing tools that make our life easier, like you're
I
saying.
yes, and I yeah, I just think that the way that we're going to be able to evolve our social media and like make it even higher than what it already
Yeah.
is going to be crazy. Like
Yeah. People are always like, oh, it's like, well, it's gonna take out all of the like, the experts and just like everything's gonna be the same. It's like no, but like the people who are great are gonna figure out how to use. They're gonna figure out how to use that to make even greater stuff. Well,
exactly.
the baseline just moves, but what happens if a baseline moves? So does the top line.
Mhm.
It's not. I don't think it's gonna level anything.
I don't think so either. And I think that's huge for people to understand is and it makes it easier for people who are just starting out. Like when you started, I'm sure you would have loved to have AI to help you with your social medias like mixing and producing and like clipping videos and all that like marketing, all that kind of things. So I think it's going to be easier for the people who are just starting out too to make a name for themselves, which I think is so
And
exciting.
people still will find excuses not to do it.
I know. I know. I know.
And
I
people will
don't
say,
get
but I still have to set up the camera and like I gotta
it.
like get ready. It's just so much work and like I don't even know what to like where to start. It's like you could literally just ask ChatGPT and also don't worry about getting ready because this is the more real authentic version of you and all you have to do is hit
Right.
record and just fucking but people will still find a way.
I know, I
It's
know.
insane.
There will still be people who, once you post it too, they'll be like, "Oh, this is AI generated," and just hate on it.
Bro, yeah, I mean I've got yeah,
It's the
we've
society we're in today.
yeah, we've gotten that. People call my voice AI, all, especially when I do that, like that lower voice. The people
Yes.
love to be like AI. I'm like, okay, I literally record this on live in front of people in real time, but
Yes.
sure.
Love it. So, oh, where was I at? Okay, so we kind of talked about this in the beginning. People love to say that metal is just noise, which is just absolutely crazy to me. How do you kind of like perceive this and like what's your kind of thoughts on this narrative? How do you change people's perspective to make it so they understand like I don't know, to you it's not just noise, like it's something else. Like what do you say to people who say that?
Go listen to something else then.
Real.
I don't get like I think I've gotten to such a place in music where I think I've just realized that everything is so subjective that nothing really matters other than people who really care. And so if you don't really care about the thing or if you don't get the thing, then go find the thing you do care about and don't spend time talking about something you don't care about. So I know that's not really an answer to your question, but how do I deal with it? Is I go, okay,
Okay, bye.
bye. Yeah, exactly. But like in terms of like I don't do this intentionally, but I think something that we do as a band that does at the end of the day help add to what you're saying is like how do you sort of help bring people over and I guess the same thing goes for Dre Tamashi is where it's like again if you look at some of these bands where they're really heavy or some of these artists like Suicide Boys where they're really dark we incorporate elements that we love from more melodic and they're still usually like we don't neither of us write happy songs but they're not necessarily dark in the way that they make you feel it can actually like feel like oh this is a really memorable melody or like this is a beautiful piece right here or like wow that was really pretty and then it went so dark and then brought me on a ride to a dark place and then back or vice versa or maybe this song was really dark and like heavy but the very next part after that was like beautiful and I think a lot of bands and artists don't necessarily they're a little bit scared to explore that because they're like no this is my sound and I'm like okay like and there's not a wrong answer to that because I love some heavy ass music. Like Throne is like one of my favorite bands, and they
Yes.
are just fucking heavy, dude. Like goddamn heavy. Slipknot heavy. Also
Yes.
beautiful though. Also beautiful. So
Yes.
that's actually not a great example because they're a great example of like what I feel like we're doing
Hmm.
and bands have tried to emulate since then is just how do I blend the world of like heavy but beautiful at the same time. And I think that's what's so interesting about like a lot of I think that's what is an interesting opportunity for the metalcore scene. I don't think that that's necessarily what metalcore is doing,
Hmm.
but that's a different conversation for another
I
time.
heard you.
But I think that metalcore has the amazing opportunity to and some bands are doing it, like Sleep Token is a great example
Yes.
of a band that is again they have their moments of like deep depth like horrific sounding moments that are just heavy and beauty at the same time so I think that's where the band and I both try to encapsulate for listeners.
I like that. Yeah, I grew up listening to Slipknot since I was 6, and I just love the way that their music like is portrayed. Like it's just going to a concert and witnessing it. You can't even like explain it unless you've like been to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1000%. And they're one of the just the thing about Slipknot, and it's probably what I like about Throne as well. And I don't hear this with a lot of bands, especially that scream, is they just sound angry.
Yes.
And I know that seems like to an outsider, someone who doesn't listen to like metal music, they're like, well, it all sounds angry. It's like, no, people learn the technique on how to scream and they can make the noise. But
Yep.
that is not the same thing as the emotion of being pissed the fuck off and emulating that into this microphone and capturing that for that line. And Slipknot did that so well throughout all of like, Iowa, for example.
Yes.
And you're just like, okay, that's a different thing. That's
Make
a
it
different
really like they're able to portray like their passion and their emotion just so well. Like it's just absolutely beautiful. Like literally there's no other word for it. Like it's beautiful to witness and hear. And you can listen to it all day, like in your car, but like in person, hearing it just hits so different.
Oh yeah, their Slipknot's live show.
Ugh,
They've curated
amazing.
such an amazing. I mean, that's why they have Knotfest. They've curated such
Yes.
an amazing live experience with like dancers and like fire and like what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And amazing bands too. They had fucking I think they had, was it Kill Switch on like recently, which is just another, along with newer bands as well. You're just like, dude, okay. Y'all know how to pick.
Their slip or not fest, sorry. Their not fest is just incredible. I go to it every year. I can't
Do you
like
really?
yes, I have to. It's so
I'm a
good.
terrible fan, and like I said, I don't leave, so I don't ever go to shows. I feel like anymore. But that was one of the. I went to Knotfest a couple years ago, and that was a very memorable experience. I mean, they're just so good at what they do.
I'm a concert jerk or I'm a concert nerd.
Jerk.
So
I'm a
I
concert.
I don't
I'm
know
an
what I was gonna
asshole at
say there,
concerts.
but I like any free time I have, I'm at a concert. Like,
Bro.
and I think that's one thing that I don't know. I feel like I just meet a lot of people being there, and then like I'm like always finding a way to get like closer to backstage and like just talk to somebody and be like, I just want to know what's going through your head when you're like on tour, when you're in this industry. There's so much, and everyone's story is so different. I just want to know
Yeah.
everybody's. So
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's such a nuanced industry that like you can talk to five different people and get five completely different answers on everything. Someone who loves touring and hates TikTok and it's working for them. You know, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
been my experience, but that is not mean that it can't work for other people. And it's like, I think if we're looking at like a percent, if I was giving advice to a newbie, then, and we're talking about a percentage of like percentage chance of likelihood to succeed in certain ways, I would say maybe one over the other, but like everyone's journey is just so individual in this industry. It's so interesting.
I know, I love it. That kind of leads to like my last kind of piece is um okay, do you have any advice for some of those newer bands that are up and coming that might be like stumbling upon like one of your videos like this? Like what do you say to them when they're like right at that door trying to like make a break, wanting to put a name out there for themselves?
I mean, it depends on where they're struggling, but if we're assuming that they're struggling on all facets, I think it is the most important to write, release, and make content through your learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just go, oh, I'm still learning, and then I'm not writing, or I'm writing, but I'm not releasing it because it's not as good as it can be. It's never going to be as good as it can be.
Right.
It never will. Like you, I know friends that are like, their songs are amazing or doing amazing, and they're just like, oh, yeah, the bass could have been lower on that. And I'm like, bro, it's got over 1 million streams. Like it will never be perfect so long as you're getting better, and it is your job in life to always be getting better. So release through that, and then make content through learning how to do that. So if you're doing this, you're writing, releasing, and making content through the learning process, you might have some unexpected victories you never saw coming that can change your life. And that song that you weren't going to release because it wasn't good enough, that you only made one TikTok to, might get 50 million views. And that's the beginning of your entire career. And you never have to go back to your day job.
Right.
So just fucking do it.
Right. No, exactly. 100%. All right.
So
Well, do you have any
I don't know if that's like, I think there's so many different like
right.
deeper, more like specific pieces of advice I could give, but I think by and large that is something that I see so many people run into, and they're not constantly trying to get better in each one of those categories. They're just like, I'm doing all three of them. So even if they're doing all three of them, but then they're not trying to get better, they're just like, oh, I can do it. It's like, well, it's been a year and your songs sound the same, your
Right.
TikToks look the same. The whole point of that bit is to get better as you
Mhm.
release, not just do it over and over again, which also there's something to be said for that. But again, I think if you're really shooting for greatness and to change your life and make a living out of this, it should be growing, just like you are, just like we are, just like everyone is. That's natural.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Perfect. Do you have any like final little notes you want to say or anything like that?
No, I think that was a perfect ender note. I just want to see people do and be the best versions of themselves. So
Yes.
any bit of piece that I can offer for that. I mean, even in my Discord, it's a music Discord for the most part, but we're in there talking about health and wellness and fitness in there because I want to see people be the best versions of themselves all the time. And any way that I can help with that, and anything that I've learned, I want to pass that on to people who might be struggling with that because I hope that's what someone would do for me if
Right.
they're excelling in something that I want to know about and I ask questions or they see that I'm struggling. I just hope someone would be like, that person would be like, oh, dude, you're doing this, but I used to do that. But once I did this, everything got like changed. And it's like, I don't see that enough. I think I'm seeing it more with the authenticity trend online, which is crazy. It's like the trend is being more genuine, nice, which is great. I hope it lasts forever. It probably won't, but right now it's amazing. So I'm seeing it more, but I would just like to see it even more. Like the more that I'm seeing is like more from like nothing is only this much. I would like to see it be like the norm. And so
Yes.
I want to be that for other people. So I think
Yeah.
that's a perfect place to end. Dre Tamashi online for anyone that's ends up watching this or listening. 365 songs in 365 days. First artist to ever do it.
I'm
Gold
excited to
Souls.
continue
Yeah,
to watch that.
it's gonna be crazy. We're almost halfway there. Literally, in 1 to 2 more days, we will be at halfway point.
Yes, that's so cool. I love that.
So it's been crazy.
I
It
like
is
it.
crazy. Well, Shae,
Okay.
thank you.